all, it's an absolute privilege for me to finally be able to release my Lebanon report back. The trip that we recently did to Lebanon, a group of us, 15 of us, between the 1st and the 10th of October. It was my second time there after 2.5 years revisiting Lebanon. And I've put together a little audio-visual sort of representation of my report, albeit at quite an amateur level, but I really trust and hope that you guys will enjoy this, and it will give you just a flavor and idea of the absolute incredible experience that we lived through in those 10 days again. For my Afrikaans friends, I've made the video clip a little bit multilingual, so there's some Afrikaans in there as well for you guys. I hope you enjoy it, but before we go over to the clip, I would like to just maybe from a more personal level just mention a couple of things as an introduction. After returning after 2.5 years and actually witnessing in one of the churches that I previously visited how God have picked them up from where they were previously when I was there in a bomb shelter underground, actually operating from there. And He's taken them out of that bomb shelter and He's placed them in the meantime in a wonderful huge building where they even have underground facilities for storage and where they are manufacturing stuff. This whole setup, how God has raised them up with a landlord who is hardly charging them anything for this entire rental of this facility. It is just absolutely mind-boggling. Equally sort of inspiring also visiting a few of the mission outreach posts, Chinese ran and also South Korean posts, where these guys have also grown from strength to strength and just the facilities has grown. Clearly seeing God's fingerprints in helping these people promote the gospel and helping this church locally in Lebanon and wider Lebanon with their work for the gospel. I think the only other thing that really I wanted to point out at this stage is if I consider my experiences ministry-wise, I'm just so stoked at how God has actually, against my personal expectations, allowed for a few sort of sessions of evangelism, because evangelism is actually strictly prohibited on these trips due to the backdrop, of course, and the sort of Islamic backdrop, etc., and also in protection of the local people there. So how God has just come through and just allowed me to live out my passion in certain pockets throughout this trip, to me was just absolutely beautiful. But enough of me now. Let's go over to the clip, and I really trust that you guys will enjoy it, and I hope it will inspire you as much as it did me. Take care.
Voor ons begin wil ek die kyker net in kennis stel. I'd like to just advise you that certain images in protection of the local community and people, I've blotted out the faces where I can. Videos also on my discretion where it's not clear enough to actually identify the facilities or the people in it clearly. So I've used my best discretion to do that. So it really is just pictures of the group and myself that will be clear. And then a picture used right at the end. Any pictures which is not blotted out about local people is actually a picture or two which was taken from an external source, which is a published, usable source and not physically taken there, just for illustration purposes. So thank you very much, en ek hoop julle geniet die produksie. So this was Team Lebanon at departures. What a privilege to also have had children to join us. As we drive back into Beirut, I am just so mindful of how God granted me my prayer after 2.5 years to actually revisit the peoples of Lebanon. One of the things that touched me the deepest during this trip was to revisit a church which has moved premises. Look at this facility. This is underground to the church. There's storehouses, food being gathered, all these facilities where they are working, workshops, different sections where work is being done, labor for the kingdom. Here you can see more supplies, and you just see the hardware there, and where they are doing steel works, and then moving across into where the woodwork takes place, the carpentry, all of this being fed up into the church to build the church, to rebuild the church. This sign used in the church, this was to me an illustration of their hearts. highlight for me with a heart for winning souls, of course, was against all odds in the Islamic State, where evangelism is strictly prohibited. God allowed 3 occasions for me to evangelize. Once in this Christian church, and also in a Kurdish home church, and also on occasion within the confinement of a Syrian camp. This is one of the mission posts in the Bakar Valley which we visited, managed by a Chinese mission organization. And we were just playing with the kids there, the refugee kids. And we were actually told that some of these kids get up at 4 in the morning to go work and labor in the fields before their day starts. This was probably for me the most precious moment at an intimate and personal level at a South Korean run community center for refugees, where this little local child runs up to me and I don't even see him coming from behind, and next thing I feel these little arms folding around my legs, and I'm thinking, wow, did Jacob come all this way to give me a hug in the spirit? And as I look down, this young boy says to me, "I love you," out of the blue. I ended up playing with him for the remainder of the day. After several long and challenging days, I got to spend a day at leisure in a town called Byblos with my best friends from Cape Town. This is where we had a quick swim in the Mediterranean Sea. The next 2 pictures just show very small illustrations of the devastation that was caused by the bomb that exploded over a year ago in the harbour and just stretched through a huge circumference into town and into the city. Many people were killed, and of course a huge impact on the community and the church as a result of it. Die Bakar Vallei is ongeveer 30 km oos van Beirut geleë. Die vallei is geleë tussen die berge Lebanon in die weste en die anti-Libanon berge in die ooste. Dit vorm die noordooslikste verlenging van die Groot Skeurvallei wat strek van Sirië tot by die Rooi See. Die Bakar Vallei is gemiddeld omtrent 120 km lank en 16 km breed. Hier is waar die grootste verdrukking van Islam steeds plaasvind, gekontrasteer met hier en daar 'n pocket van Christendom. Ons het met ons busy 'n baie hoë en gevaarlike bergpas aangetree om in hierdie vallei af te sak en onder die Syriese vlugtelinge daar te dien vir 'n dag of 2-3. Dan sluit ek af met 2 beelde, een van 'n uitsig oor die hawe van Beirut, en ek dink net terug aan hoe ek beleef het hoe die Here Jesus aktief en kragdadig en lewendig as God besig is om te werk in die stad van Lebanon en onder die Muslim communities. Hierdie foto dan van ons span waar ons getreed was in die Sederberge op pad af teen die berg na 'n uitreik, net om dit te beleef waar God in sy woord sê hy self hierdie sederbome duisende jare oud geplant het. Wat vir my 'n fascinerende feit is dat Jesus Christus homself die land van Lebanon deurkruis het en te voet geloop het. En net vir my om daai ervaring deur te gaan in Lebanon en te besef ons is vandag daar en om te witness en te hoor al die testimonies, honderde, duisende testimonies wat jaar en jaar uitgelewer word deur moslims, wat radikaal bekeer word deur Jesus Christus, wat fisies aan hulle verskyn, en net daai omdraai en geloof wat plaasvind, waar hulle verlos word uit daai verdrukking uit. Dit is net absoluut asemrowend, en dit is net so versterkend vir hou so geloof. By die honderde getuienisse, kinders, groot mense, wat radikale omswaaie beleef, en uit daai verdrukking uitgeruk word. Dit is wat 'n trip soos na die Midde-Ooste toe werklik waar die moeite werd maak. Ek sluit my verslag af met hierdie beeld van 'n moslim meisietjie onder die verdrukking van Islam. Die prentjie sê alles. Ek wil 'n gedagte met julle los ter afsluiting, en dit is, jy weet, baie mense query tot vandag toe nog die rasionaal vir buitelandse uitreike. Waarom gaan ons buiteland toe? Waarom gaan ons oor die grense, indien daar so groot behoefte plaaslik is? Maar die realiteit buiten die feit dat Jesus gesê het, gaan na die uithoeke van die wêreld, is ook dat in Suid-Afrika ons godsdienst nie onderdruk word nie. Ons word nie vervolg nie. Waar daar in lande soos die Midde-Ooste word Christene vervolg en word godsdienst onderdruk. En natuurlik is daar 'n massiewe islam oorgrote meerderheid verdrukking daar. So dit is absoluut kardinaal dat mense soos In Context International en ander uitreikgroepe wel die effort maak om buitentoe te gaan en te gaan help. Die kerk het ons desperaat nodig, of dit nou is om 'n tou te gooi vir die ou wat in die vlakte afsak en net 'n tou uit te hou, of self fisies dit by te woon, so trip en saam te gaan, elke bietjie help. So, kontak my gerus, indien daar enige vrae is, indien jy enige navrae het, kan ek jou met die regte mense in aanraking sit. Dankie dat jy my produksie gekyk het, en ek wens vir jou seën en vrede toe in die tyd wat kom.